Hello, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you very much for joining me on the Ravery Sports Podcast for fans like me. Definitely, you like all of our social media content, and more of you been signing up, so I'm sure you like it. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. If you're watching this live, you're watching this on our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, or our X page. Thank you very much. Definitely check us out at the bottom of the screen there, raverysports.company.site. Orioles hats, the great Ray Lewis jersey right there. Definitely, you can get jerseys, hats, stuff like this on raverysports.company.site. Definitely go ahead and check it out as well. All of the great information is there. You can buy jerseys, hats. Definitely, if you want to look at me on Facebook with the jerseys as well, not necessarily look at me because I'm so great, but look at all the jerseys and hats. You can put in my name, Charles Harris, Ravery Sports at Ravery Sports, and under Facebook Marketplace if you want to go ahead and do that. Well, if that works better for you there. Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com. Definitely, too, you can go ahead and get Genesis Notary Services. If you live in the Shenandoah Valley area and you need a notary, definitely we will stamp your documents with care. Real estate documents, if your house closing, if you want a field inspection, if you want a wedding officiant, all that stuff we have for you at Genesis Notary Services. We'll go ahead and take care of that for you as well. See Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. That is the website that we are using. See Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. Or you can go ahead and message us on Facebook as well. Now, a couple programming things here on Ravery Sports Podcast. Best now of 2024 will be on December 31. We will recap the 2020 year. October, I think, is the best month in sports, but we're going to be looking at all of 2024, everything that happened from getting in best of the year in 2024. We're going to do that one again this year on New Year's Eve, and check it out. Now, how many of you checked out the Maryland basketball preview? Didn't happen yet. So what we're going to do, if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to get a chance right after this video goes live. So we're going to do both today. Unfortunately, had stuff going on Sunday. It requires a lot more of my attention in this particular video. So it requires more research, etc. So that's why it's a little bit late. So we're going to just do it. You're watching the podcast here this morning. So right after this, once this is done, we're going to go straight into the Maryland basketball preview video as well. So definitely check that out. All right. Let's get down to the business of the NFL. Not a good Sunday. I thought this was their worst loss. The Ravens lose games. All teams lose games except for Kansas City, apparently. But all teams lose games, have good losses, bad loss. This definitely goes under the category of bad loss. There's a lot of things that were revealed on Sunday that caused the problem. So Brownies win it 29-24 over the Ravens in Cleveland. So the Brownies were successful in winning this game 29-24. A lot wrong here. Defense just it's not getting it done. Defense not getting it done. Defense really not playing well. I kind of had given the defense a little bit of grace. I think some of the numbers were a bit skewed, I think, frankly, because they had scoring so many points. Teams were throwing more. So, that was bad on Sunday. That was bad. Zach Orr has a lot to answer for on defense. Offense, too, I think the offense, they scored 24 points. I thought some of the play calling, decision-making was terrible on offense. Todd Monken, John Harbaugh, etc. I thought some of the play calling was just, unnecessary as well. Offensive line, I don't think was nearly as good either. They got pushed around pretty good. So let's talk about it here. Lamar Jackson. All right, so we got that graphic fixed there. It was Lamar was 23 for 38, 298 yards, 2 TDs. Again, Lamar wasn't the problem. I would say this wasn't his best outing. I think there was drops by the receivers. I thought this was the worst day for the receivers as well. So there was drops, 23, 38. It could have been 27 or 28 or 29. There was like 4 or 5 of those I thought that were drops or bad drops for him. I do think he was missing a few more throws than usual. I think it was because a lot of the day he was under pressure. But Lamar, he was probably the only reason they were even in this game, as good as he was there. Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 73 yards. Derrick Henry probably is going to be at the 1,000-yard mark here in this next game. Derrick Henry's a beast. I think a little bit underutilized. I think I agree with that assessment as well. They seem to want to throw the ball more. They're still having trouble on this right side running the ball. I think people are not noticing. People keep saying Rosengarten and Falele are not great over there on that side. Rosengarten, I think, is a work in progress. I think he's a young guy. I think he's kind of hot and cold. Falele, I don't know what you want me to say about Falele. People keep saying that he's playing better. I think maybe slightly, but they definitely were shoved around really good in this game. I think the whole line too. I thought this was the worst line for the whole line. Even like in the bad games that the right side has, I don't think this was Stanley or Linderbaum or any of their best game in this one as well. So I thought the whole line was shoved around. I thought Henry was pretty good as well. Henry, this is like the third game I've seen somebody tried to tackle him and they went off on the stretcher. This guy's just a freak of nature how strong he is. Zay Flowers is supposed to be banged up, and he had 7 receptions for 115. Definitely, clearly now, not Mark Andrews, the focal point of the passing game. Clearly, I definitely can stamp it. He's your number one receiver. Definitely, clearly on his way to 1,000 yards, I think, this season. We haven't a lot of those guys get 1,000 yards, so they're definitely going to keep throwing the ball. Flowers can stay healthy. He was at practice, I think, today. So good for him. Boy, Kyle Hamilton. I thought he was fantastic on Sunday, except for obviously that last play where he could have ended the game with a Jameis Winston interception. He must have had it in his hand 2-3 times. Just looked like nerves, didn't reel it in. And on the very next play, they throw it and they get the win. So I thought Kyle was terrific. I can't really say that I have any beef with Kyle Hamilton on Sunday. He was really, really good, except for that one play. I thought the secondary was bad. I'm really like to see Bo Braid and Sanusi Kane in its safety. Marcus hasn't been really good this year at all. I don't know what else happened as far as the benching. Some people said Harbaugh was mad because of an interview. He declined to talk to Jeff Rebeck today. I don't know all the circumstances. That I know this. He hasn't been playing particularly well. Eddie Jackson, I thought, was really bad on Sunday. They replaced him with Eddie Jackson, and he didn't do well. So Kyle Hamilton, I thought Kyle Hamilton was really good as well. I think he's been one of the bright spots on the defense this season. This is unacceptable. 27 for 41, 334. Jameis Winston. Winston was a third stringer last year. Didn't play at all so far this year. This is squarely on defense. They had at least talk about Lamar having drops. They dropped 4 or 5 interceptions they could have had. And it just didn't happen. They just dropped. Kyle Hamilton dropped 1. Eddie Jackson dropped like 2 or 3. Now, some of it was they did not have Marlon Humphrey and they didn't have Nate Wickens, and that showed. And so I think they're going to they should be getting those guys back this week, but that's still not going to get it. I think the secondary not getting it done. Pass rush, definitely not getting it done. Oweh, Madubuike need to show up. You're making too much money not to show up. Allow a game like this to happen. That's just unacceptable. Madubuike and Oweh. especially. Roquan needs to be better too. I think they're stopping the run though. They're stopping the run. I mean, Nick Chubb, 16 carries, 52 yards. That's not bad. I mean, Nick Chubb's pretty good. Still kind of working his way in, but they gave up 80 yards on the ground. The run defense isn't terrible as well. They seem to be able to stop the run regardless of the circumstances around it. But I thought Chubb was actually decent in this game. Tillman, I think, was the recipient of the touchdown at the end. I thought they had a pretty – I thought he had some big plays. I'm still not sold on him, Tillman. I think he's got some potential, but I think he kind of is what he is. You know, just a second receiver, maybe third receiver right now, getting a good opportunity with Amari Cooper traded, getting a good opportunity, you know, to maybe show what he could do. Browns defense, I think Grant Delpit, I think, was their best one on the field. He had 9 tackles, some big hits, even on Henry. I thought that was impressive as well. So I thought Grant Delpit really looked good as well. They really got pushed at the line of scrimmage. They really pushed the Ravens around, I thought, at the line of scrimmage. So definitely I thought the Browns did a good job up front. I thought that's where I think they won the football game. They were pushing the Ravens around on both sides of the ball. I think that mattered. And they were able to capitalize on some of the Ravens' errors as well. Just death by 1,000 cuts. Tucker missing the long field goal, penalties, Linderbaum, Stanley, lots of penalties on the offensive line. Didn't want to win it. I kind of said that in instant reaction. Didn't want to win it. Didn't deserve to win it. Didn't deserve to win it, period. So Ravens and the Browns, I thought worse. I thought performance by far for the Ravens this year as well. Made some changes. We'll talk about the new receiver that we got here. Definitely made some changes. I thought both coordinators, though, were a stinker on Sunday. Zach Orr is – I don't know after this season. I don't think he's going to get fired in the middle of this season, but clearly there's issues on defense. Over and over, you see it where guys are just not lined up properly. Not in there with a call. Roquan is sending them. I saw the Brian Baldigger film, sending people to a spot they don't know where to go. Guys with their hands up, plays running behind them, guys running behind them. Secondary also to not line up where you're supposed to be, lacking aggression, lacking that thunder, not really, really pushing the envelope. It was wild. The most blitz I saw Sunday was at the end, right? At the end of Jameis Winston, you figure that's where you'd be more conservative. You have a bit of a lead. You're blitzing the whole time. They figured it out. They figured out the blitz. Dan Olszewski, if you watch that, check that out on ESPN, where he broke that down. Strange. Bad all the way around on Sunday. I think it was. I thought that was terrible play calling, terrible execution by the defense. Fault all the way around for that one. But we got another one this week in M&T. So the Ravens are back at home against, that is right for Denver, 5-3 Broncos. The Broncos are 5-3. So good for them. Same Ravens, same record as the Ravens. They're definitely second place, obviously, in the West. But I think this is really a surprise for me. I mean, this is a team I think had the largest cap hit in NFL history with getting rid of Russell Wilson. So they couldn't do anything really to improve their team except get Bo Nix and just hope for the best. And, hey, Sean Payton has gotten them in a position here to have 6 wins in the first 9 games. So shout out to them as well. Lamar Jackson, I still think he's definitely in the MVP conversation. I thought last week he wasn't at his very best, but I thought he was really good. I think they're going to try and stay away from Pat Surtain this week, but I definitely think they're going to be throwing for a lot of points this week. I definitely think they can horse race these guys out. I think Lamar, outstanding, 17 TDs, 2 interceptions. That's just phenomenal start to the season. Did miss practice today. John Harbaugh did say it was just a day of rest. You look at Derrick Henry. We question whether we're going to get running backs over 1,000 yards here. Haven't had one in a while. We're going to have one on Sunday for sure with Derrick Henry reaching the 1,000-yard mark. He's at 946 now, 145 carries. People are just making business decisions in the end zone with him offering, we're not even going to bother trying to tackle this guy. We're not even going to bother doing it. So 8 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. Outstanding. Definitely the new number 1 receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, even despite what they did this week. Zay Flowers wasn't supposed to play. Focusing on him, they're getting the ball down the field a lot with Zay Flowers. Other receivers kind of struggled on Sunday. I think he was the bright light. Andrews was good, and I thought Zay Flowers was good. But Bateman kind of struggled with drops. Aguilar drops. I think Flowers is terrific. I think the only reason probably why he's not more nationally known, he's still young. He's still really short, obviously. But I think I like his build, too. He's kind of like solidly built. Not quite in a Tyreek Hill, but I think he can get to that where he can absorb hits, absorb contact. You can't just – he's small, but you can't really just push him off routes and stuff like that like you can with smaller receivers. Kyle Hamilton, 32 tackles, 1 sack. I think he's been their best. I don't think he's been quite as good as last year, but I think he's really, really closer to form. Really like Hamilton on Sunday for the most part, outside of those drop pick. I thought Hamilton got sacks, was in coverage, knocking the ball down. That was more what you see like Kyle Hamilton at his best. That Swiss Army knife, a lot of different things all at once. That is his strength as well. So good stuff, I thought, by Kyle Hamilton. Definitely going to need it against Bo Nix. You got a rookie quarterback, so you're surely going to try and confuse him. Nix, 8 TDs, 5 interceptions, 130 yards passing. Some people call him Baby Breeze with Sean. I absolutely think Sean Payton was going to pick him. A lot of it is going to be short, accurate stuff, quick out the ball, hand. Easy for me to say. Ball quick out of his hand, rather. There you go. Ball quick out of his hand. A lot of short, accurate stuff. Been managing the game. Not a lot of 300-plus yard games. Ravens, with their secondary guys, should be putting pressure on him to go ahead and do things. A lot of short intermediate stuff. Got to be better in the intermediate area. Going to go against Bo Nix. Javonte Williams is their leading rusher. 90 carries, 345 yards. He's solid. Not overly. I think that's about it. I don't think, certainly not at the level of a Derrick Henry, but certainly a guy you have to pay attention to, especially in between the tackles. Really solidly built guy, straight line stuff as well. Kind of similar like a Brian Robinson for the Commanders as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Cortland Sutton is the number 1 receiver, I guess. Probably by default. I'm not a huge fan of his. I think like he's the prototype if you look at a receiver. So like he's one of these guys, if you're casting a movie and you want to cast a all-world receiver type, it's Cortland Sutton. His production on the field has just never matched it. I think he's a bit inconsistent as a receiver. I think he's a bit overstated. I think he looks great at times, but too often a great receiver is not out of the game as much as I've seen Cortland Sutton out of the game. He has too many stretches where he's just invisible to be an outstanding receiver. Marlon Humphrey and Stevens, I think, should be able to do a good job on him on Sunday. He's their main guy. Patrick Surtain, I think, might be the best cornerback in the league. You could argue them or Hot Sauce Gardner. 3 interceptions. Definitely, I think this is where you want to stay away from. Not a lot of names on the Denver defense as well, but this is the one. I think this is the main guy. I think he's been terrific this season. I think he is the best man-to-man cover guy in the league. That's saying a lot right now with all this zone. I think him and Trent McDuffie, I think, are the best man-to-man. I think Hot Sauce, I think, might be the best, period. But I think it's a multiple of things with him. But like man-to-man, chest-to-chest, I think Surtain I think is probably the best one there as well. All right, Sunday, X Factor. We're going to put the X on the newest Raven, Deontay Johnson. It's funny. All these years, they go trade deadline and make an addition. It's defense, 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 defense. And all these years now we need defense. Defenses struggle, and they finally get an A-plus wide receiver in Deontay Johnson, former Steeler. I think he was the number one receiver for a couple of years there. I think this is excellent. Matter of fact, let's even go over the trade here real quick since we're talking about Deontay Johnson. So they agreed in principle to a trade with the Carolina Panthers for Deontay Johnson, pending a physical. It was announced on Tuesday. Physical went fine. He was at practice. The Ravens sent a 5th-round pick to the Carolina Panthers for a 6th-round pick as well in Deontay Johnson. Okay, so basically they give up nothing for Deontay Johnson. He doesn't have a contract at the end of the year, so he's free. He'll probably leave, I would assume. I'd assume that they're going to let him go. So heard the other day, Shefty made a great point. You sign Deontay Johnson, and probably next year another team is going to sign him. You're going to get a compensation pick because you lose him free agency. So you get another pick. So you're actually adding a pick by actually getting the guy here. The 5th and the 6th round pick also too is a great move because the 5th and the 6th is a great move because look, the Ravens are a good team, right? People, I think it's like 18 spots right now, but Carolina is very bad, right? So you're finishing, You're finishing like 30th, or you go to the AFC Championship game, go to a wild card round or Super Bowl or anything like that. How far away is that pick? You might be like losing 5 spots, 6 spots, if that. Sometimes, so depending on how many compensation picks are there in that round. So interesting to see what happens there as well. So Deontay Johnson, the newest Raven. I was just going to say Eddie Jackson, but the safety situation, you got to really look at that. I don't know what's going on. I said Marcus Williams was benched last Sunday. Really didn't speak to anybody this week. Didn't speak to Jeff Zrebeck, anybody. I honestly don't think he was high-handing guys. I honestly think probably it was by design. He probably just didn't want to get in trouble. Word is he got in trouble for speaking to a reporter. I don't know that. Eddie Jackson, I think, really struggled coverage. He had a Darius Well there. What do you do with Kyle Hamilton? They've been kind of moving him back and forth. So they're going to get better. Safeties have to get better. Also, another factor as well, IR for Michael Pierce. He's got injured this week. Also, Michael Pierce was injured this week on the injury report. Brent Irvin, we're still finding out about that. Yeah, so there's a lot of injuries on the line. So keep that in mind as well. So we will see Sunday at 1 o'clock after the game. Definitely. I'm hoping to do an instant reaction this week. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on here, but I'll probably be there for the instant reaction on Sunday after the game and get that squared away. There is a chance I may not be able to do instant reaction on Sunday. We are fully expecting, if all goes well, instant reaction on Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, what's going on? That's right, it's loud. It's loud because we got some of the best games of the weekend going on that are not Raven games. So definitely keep that in mind. The big five biggest games on the schedule every week. We do larger NFL content that are not Baltimore Raven games. So we do that every week. We do the NFL, the big five, every Sunday. So what happened last week on the big five? The Falcons and the Bucks. That kind of went exactly as I thought it would. I think the Falcons now are going to take their place as the number one team in the NFC South. I think the Falcons They're a little bit ahead of the Bucks. Losing Tampa Bay, I think, is going to be pretty feisty, but losing Mike Evans till about week 12, losing uh, Chris Godwin for the year, I think that's too big of a mountain to climb if you're going to beat Atlanta. So interesting to see there. They went so bad in the Colts Texans game that they're going to make a cold quarterback change. Anthony Richardson tapping out. I've never seen that. Like a quarterback calling out of the game. I mean, I've never seen that as well. Issues with the Texans, though. They won, but Stephon Diggs, I think, hurt himself as far as the ACL. They are missing some receivers. So interesting to see going forward. I still think they'll probably win that division. Bills, Seahawks as well. Bills, I think they're pretty much down in, right? I mean, all the other teams in their division are terrible. Seahawks, this is kind of what I keep saying. They kind of don't show up against good teams. Again, blasted at home against the Bills. Mike McDonald's defense blasted in this. I mean, they kind of don't show up against good teams. And the Sunday night game was pretty much what I expected. Sunday night game, pretty much what we thought. 49ers over the Cowboys. Cowboys, there isn't much there. I think the Niners have problems. But they got the cavalry coming in. They may get McCaffrey back this week. Kittle, I thought, was outstanding on Sunday night. Defensively, they kind of don't look the same, though. I think that's a concern as well. I think this is the problem they have. But that was a good win for them on Sunday. And I thought the finish of the year, I think, in the entire NFL with the Hail Mary, that was bananas. That was bananas. Boy, you won't see that and you watch 10 games. I thought the Bears definitely could have stole one, but the ball tipped up. Tyreek Stevenson, that's on you, bro. Like, not paying attention, man. But I could hear Tom Jackson, knock it down. That's what you're supposed to do in that Hail Mary. All right, so last week's Big Five. This week's Big Five. Lions and the Packers. I thought these might be for playoff position in the North. So the Vikings have 2 straight losses, so this one's even bigger. Jordan Love, not sure if he's going to play. Maybe he doesn't play in this one. They're going to need him against the Lions team. I think the Lions, I kind of thought this beginning of the year. This is the class, I think, of the NFC. I think they are. I think they can beat anybody in the NFC at any time. I think this is starting Malik Willis. I think he's had his good moments for them this year. I think it's too big of a mountain to climb if you're going to beat the Lions. I think the Lions' offense is really, really good. They definitely, Jamar Gibbs, I think, is an outstanding running back. The receivers are really good. I thought the line is just masterclass as well. Defensively, few more issues, I think, because at the ends without Aiden Hutchinson, so I think that's a point, but they're going to score points. I do think they go into Green Bay and steal one. They've had good luck in Green Bay also in recent years. Big game for both teams. So the Seahawks are kind of at the 500 mark. The Rams are trying to get back to the 500 mark, 3-4 in this one. I don't believe that they're trading Matt Stafford. That's insanity to me. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they still believe that they can win. I mean, they're not all the way out of it yet. So I do like the effort on seeing with Los Angeles. No players. I think kind of like I said with Dallas, kind of like they just have CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. That's probably what all you got on offense is the Rams. You got Stafford, you got Puka Nacua. That's about it. Their running games, I've seen Blake Corum there, Kyron Williams. There's a little bit of offense, but I think they're well coached. Don't make mistakes. Rams teams are very disciplined. I've kind of noticed that throughout the years. You don't see a lot of dumb stuff that they do out there on the field. Seahawks, I think, are really good, but I think I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams are good enough to beat them. The Seahawks has just not impressed me this year. I think they kind of only do well against teams that don't do well. I think Gino, just definitely just has that problem. Defensively, they haven't been as good as I thought either. Mike McDowell's defense is pretty chewed up, pretty good here as a rookie head coach. So I think like against good defenses, against a bad defense, Stafford, I think will have a good day. I like the Rams in this one. 2 road teams. Not doing that in this one. Cowboys and the Falcons. Cowboys, for one, I think part of it, they've had a rough schedule. I've had a lot of these Cowboy games in this, and they're playing a team, I think, probably the best team, I think, in the NFC South. One of the better teams, I think, in the NFC. I think Cousins has been as good as advertised. Everything they've asked for. Bijan Robinson, I think, might be maybe the best running back in the NFC. One of them as well. I think the receivers are good. Defense isn't great. I think that's probably the thing maybe keeping them out of the category with the Niners and the Lions and all that, etc. The defense isn't great. My position stands with the Cowboys. They kind of are what they are. They Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. They got to have a good day for them. Now that is kind of enough here. I think this will be close. But I'm gonna take the Falcons. I don't like the Cowboys in this one. I don't like the Cowboys period. I think they are. I think they have players. They're just underachieving, but they're not. I think the Falcons. I think have been on a roll lately. So as well. So here we go. Joe Flacco. I don't know if Joe's done enough. I think forever I said Joe Flacco. A lot of people said Joe shouldn't get in the Hall of Fame. I think this second career might get him there. Good for him. Definitely they had to change from Anthony Richardson. Now, I don't think they had a choice. I think they would have rather, for sure, but Richardson I thought was overdrafted. He isn't the guy. Flacco is playing well. I think this is smart. Obviously playing as well. So you definitely have more of a shot. This is going to be a test for the Vikings. They got off to the start. Now they've lost a couple in a row. This is going to be flexed into the Sunday night game. I think I'm actually going to take the Colts in this one again. I'm going to take the road team again. I think I'm not sure that the Vikings are a great team. I think they kind of got off to a great start. I think they're a bit of a paper tiger. The Colts actually have, if you're playing Flacco, some good stuff on both sides going on. I think they're not a great team, but I think their quarterback was really a problem for them. So playing Flacco, I definitely like the Colts. And the Chefs and the Bucks, I think the Bucks, are a good team. I think Mayfield has been solid all year long. I think they definitely have some challenges with no receivers as well. Getting hurt. I can't pick the Bucks. I can't pick them over the Chefs. I would say the Chefs are flawed. They did bring in Deontay Hopkins. They did bring in Udeshe on the defensive side. So, but I got to tell you, I don't even think they played their best on either side. I mean, people saying, well, their defense, I think their defense hasn't been as good either. But definitely, I think this is absolutely an opportunity for them to go ahead and get into undefeated. I don't know if they'll go undefeated, but definitely they have a shot at not losing a game. There you go. Big Five. 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games. So definitely check that out on Sunday. 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not Baltimore Raven games. So absolutely check that out. Where is the song? 5 biggest games, Raven games, Big 5. Definitely check that out on Sunday. All right. Real quick. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 straight wins for the Black Knights, 40 to nothing. Um, that's all I got to say. I thought this rivalry kind of goes in spurts as well. If you go back to the 70s and the 80s and things like that, Poly had a long stretch. And then it kind of shifts a little bit. And then City right now is in a long stretch. Not on the same level. The Engineers, 40 to nothing. Game was at Morgan State as well. So not a lot of analysis I have, honestly, but 40 and 0 for the Black Knights as well. Glad to see it. My high school there getting it done. Definitely go out to and support the young men in Baltimore that are out here playing in high school football. I think it's an absolutely wonderful activity. The City Poly game, I think I've said it a couple of times, is not just, it's really, and I graduated from Baltimore City College, obviously, and there's a lot of Poly graduates, obviously, but it's not just for us. It really hasn't kind of just turned into the game for the city. So absolutely. So definitely, if you like sports in general, definitely check that out as well. This was ugly. Oh gosh. Minnesota 48, Maryland 23. Not a good result for the Terps or the Gophers. I was saying the week before when the Terps played USC, how gutsy, how good Billy Edwards was, how he outplayed Miller Moss. I thought it was some mistakes, but I thought it was just really just courageous, outstanding performance. As good as that was, that's how bad like Billy Edwards was in this one. To the point, I think it's a chance against Oregon the next game. It's not this weekend. I think they have a bye week again here. I think it could be MJ Morris. That's how bad he was. So not good at all. Defense, I thought, was terrible. Max Brosmer for Minnesota, I thought, was one of the most interesting quarterbacks I saw on film when I was studying the whole Big Ten before the season. So he was great. I thought just a lot of stuff, like I saw downfield passes, a lot of accuracy, played at a small school. So he was really good in this one. Obviously, they didn't show up at all. Terps made mistakes on both sides. I thought the defense was terrible. Offense was terrible as well. So that's it there as well. So I think it's October 9th is the next one against the number one ranked Oregon Ducks. We're going to take a deeper dive in that one when they play Oregon. So definitely check that out. It's over. The playoffs. The Dodgers and the Yankees and the National and the World Series champions of the 2024 season are the Los Angeles Dodgers. They win 4-1. Yankees actually did get the win on Tuesday night, and the Dodgers were actually successful in this one, getting the win. Dodgers are now your World Series champion. This one turned into Freddie Freeman's personal batting practice session. MVP, obviously, hit home runs each of the first 4 games. I thought he was just terrific. Early, impactful. I feel good for Freddie Freeman. Getting the granny in the first game, the walk-off, that was just breathtaking to watch that as well. That I really think that took the air out of the Yankees early in this one. Judge hit a home run, I think, in game 5. Didn't play well. I don't think Ohtani played well either. All the hype about Ohtani and Judge, I don't think either one of them was good here. So what happened in this series? I think 2 things. I think definitely a couple things happened. I think you had 2 teams with a lot of offense. You had 2 teams with good rotations. You had 2 teams with good managers. I think Dave Roberts, Aaron Boone. I actually like Aaron Boone more than he's actually nationally regarded. So I think Aaron Boone is a good manager there as well. So I actually did think he was good there. Well, what happened in this series? What it was is one team was great on the margins and the other team wasn't. The problem that the Yankees had is they just didn't have the things you need, what they call in baseball, they used to call it little ball, actually win baseball games. That's what they didn't have. Sending Stanton, one of the slowest runners of the league, on third base, terrible. Watching Soto and Verdugo, every time I watch a Yankee game in the outfield, there's a goof up, there's a blunder, there is something like that. In this game, not covering first base at all, not hustling to get to first base, running down there, Dodgers get a guy safe, stuff like that. Not good infield defense. That's what happened. And those things mattered a lot when you're playing a team with as much firepower as you, which the Yankees don't have. Dave Roberts, I think, shout out to him, had a lot of postseason failure, but had some success, a lot of winning seasons, obviously, a lot of good teams, but they stuck with him. Good for him. Now he's getting the World Series, again, trophy to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are your 2024 champions as well. Good to see. Interesting to see now. Now we're officially in the off season here. What's going to happen with Juan Soto? Obviously, for the Yankees in the off season, that's going to be the main thing as well. The owner, Hal Steinbrenner, said having a payroll like this isn't sustainable. Okay. We'll see. I would say this. Soto is a train wreck in right field. Train wreck in right field. As good as hitter as he is, just flat out lousy in the outfield. I mean, watching him in bets play, it's like the moon and the stars in terms of that. Like Betts, outstanding defense there in the outfield, plays the ball off the wall well, makes great throws, and Soto is just a mess. So there we go. End of a baseball season, the playing season officially there as well. Now, that doesn't stop us from talking baseball. We're going to talk baseball every Raven Sports podcast. This one, our Orioles discussion, is going to be awards. Okay? So I know what the awards are. We've seen it. We saw what happened, blah, blah, blah. This is our version, the Raven Sports 2024 Orioles Awards. Who won awards for the Baltimore Orioles? Who were the best Baltimore Orioles in 2024 in various categories? So let's go over this as well. Most improved player. So we're going to go 3 down to 1, explain why the players 3, why the players 1. Number 3, I thought Grayson was much better this year. I think the concerns with his injury is legit. But here's what I thought was fascinating. I put a poll out this week about if Burns signs. And by the way, I got a lot of heat for that because a lot of fans want him to sign. I said, I don't think he'll sign. I don't think he will. But I don't want to go too far off into that. But I was a little surprised. If he doesn't sign, are you comfortable with Grayson as the number 1 starter? Now, a lot of them said no, absolutely not. And I'm not sure I agree with that. I think Grayson is a number 1 starter. I don't think there was a lot difference between Grayson and Barrett except for the health. He had a couple more uneven starts than Burns did, a few more, but not a lot. Maybe like 3 or 4 starts more where he wasn't as good. But Grayson, I think, was really good. Certainly big improvement, certainly on his way to being the number 1 pitcher, I think, as well. Colton Cowser was a tremendous improvement from the 2024 season. Look, wasn't even sure he was going to be on the roster. Wasn't sure he was going to be a starter. Took it right from, made the roster in spring training, took it right from Austin Hayes. So outstanding stuff. I think he's definitely a cornerstone player of the future. Good, bright future for Colton Cowser. But Albert Suarez, a 34-year-old rookie who had basically been Crash Davis, spent his whole career in the minors, was outstanding. I don't think he gets his just due. I'm not sure you make the playoffs without Albert Suarez. I don't think you do. I thought he was terrific in bullpen, terrific, good as a starter. Not good all the time. I think he had some starts that were uneven, but considering the circumstances, fantastic. Fantastic. Albert Suarez, I thought he was their most improved player. Best minor league player, hitter, especially here. Number 3, Daniel Johnson, I thought had a good minor league season. Not quite as good of a prospect, but I thought he was really good in the minors. It's really tough to pick between the first two. I think it was a dead eat. But Samuel Basallo, I think, might be the number 1 prospect in the Orioles system. We're going to talk about that too, as well, number 1 prospect. But I think he might be. If it isn't, it's Kobe Mayo. I think Kobe Mayo. Now, not so good in the majors when we saw him, but Kobe Mayo destroyed AAA pitching this year. Absolutely destroyed AAA pitching. Definitely a power hitter for the future. Play him at first base, not at third base. Defense terrible, but I thought his offense. I thought in the minors he was fantastic. I thought his offense was great. Definitely a power hitter, long power hitter, big, tall, strong. Absolutely bright future for Kobe Mayo as well there. Minor league pitcher. This is going to surprise you. Chase McDermott, I thought was 3. I don't think he had a lot of good pitching in the minors. I think McDermott was great. I think that's probably the reason why he didn't make the majors. I think if he had a little better, wasn't quite ahead of Cade Povich, but I thought he was probably the 3rd best one. I'm kind of leaning it to that he was in AAA, came off an injury. I could put him there 3rd. Brandon Young actually won the award, I think, for minor league pitcher of the year. He's 25 years as well. Brandon Young, I think, is a good prospect. I think maybe, I don't know if he's an ace. He definitely throws hard enough, but I definitely think I could probably see him in the majors. He could be in the conversation next season, competing for a 5th spot. I could see it depending on the circumstances. Nolan Huffman, I think, was the best pitcher on the Norfolk Tides. He's number 1. I thought I'm taking him. I thought he was 8-3. He's not a prospect because he's up there. I mean, he's definitely 27 years old. So I mean, I definitely wouldn't call him a prospect going forward. I think I could definitely see a guy like an Albert Suarez type situation for him because he was really good in the minors last year. So definitely I can absolutely see that. Brooks Robinson Award for Best Defensive Oriole. Cowser, I thought, was 3 there. I thought Cowser was terrific defensively. I definitely give him some points because he had to play multiple positions, mostly left and center, but he did play right. But I think he's outstanding defensively. He's got great instincts. None of that garbage like you saw in the World Series with the Yankees outfielder. Like, it's just awful. None of that stuff. Cowser tracks balls well, throws well from the outfield, really has his head in the game. I think he's terrific as well. Adley, some people are on Adley's defense. I thought Adley still is really good. The percentage of runners throwing out, I know, is down. I still like his enthusiasm as well. I thought like that was down for everybody. I don't think it was just an Adley problem. I thought like a lot of guys had trouble throwing out runners more this year. But I think Adley defensively, he sets the tone. I think he sets the tone for the defense as well. Neither one of them was as good as Cedric Mullins. Cedric Mullins is a highlight film. Like, you won't go a week with him playing without seeing an outstanding diving catch by Cedric, outstanding catch over the wall by Cedric, outstanding like there. And he's the center fielder. He's the leader of the outfielder. He's the leader of the outfield, definitely making all the defensive calls out there. Cedric, absolutely best defensive Oriole. Next award, I'm sorry. Greg Olson Award. Greg Olson is one of my favorite pitchers of all time, one of my favorite baseball seasons. 1989 was the Rookie of the Year for the Orioles as a closer. Outstanding curveball, Greg Olson, for those of you that don't know. Greg Olson. So who was the best Oriole Rookie of this year? Cade Povich. He was the pitcher that made the most starts. I don't know about Povich. I think Povich has a future. I think he's a reliever. I don't know if he's a starter. I don't know if he's a starter. I think definitely, depending on what happens in the offseason, could be in the mix for a fifth starter. I think he gets less starts next year. That's probably right. But I definitely think, give him credit, he did make his way to the majors, did get some starts. Look good at times. Jackson Holiday was number 2 as well. Jackson Holiday, I think, was resilient. I mean, he was under a lot of pressure, a horrible start, obviously. And I think he recovered. I think he went down to AAA. This was the first time in his career where he ever struggled. Didn't struggle in high school, was great. All the levels in AAA, AA, A ball in the minors, he was great. Struggled, got humbled a little bit, I think, as well. Came back up and he started to turn around. Then he kind of slowed up a bit again as well. Interesting to see where he is as far as I think he'll be out there next year, but do they still view him as this guy they're going to play right away? I think he may have to earn his spot. We will see what happens. But Colton Cowser was easily the best rookie on the Orioles, if I think the best rookie hitter in the American League, 20-plus home runs. I think the only thing with him is he going to be an elite player, get that average up to about 252-ish, 240-ish, 250-ish. Can he get up to like a 300, be more consistent with the plate, get his OPB up, et cetera, on-base percentage? That's the only thing wrong with Cowser. I thought Cowser was fantastic all season long. Jim Palmer Award. Best pitcher. I do have Suarez. Yes, that is right. Didn't have anybody in the bullpen. I don't think it was worthy at all. As far as for a whole season, you didn't have Batista at all. You didn't have Kimbrel. Kimbrel kind of flamed out there. Sir Anthony kind of like half the year, etc. A lot of injuries for the bullpen guys. So I think Suarez, I thought, was the third best starter. I do. I think Suarez, I thought, was probably, I think I said it, or I'm going to say it one more time. They don't get to the playoffs without Suarez and his contribution to the team this year. So I thought he was third. I thought Grayson was second. I thought Grayson was really good. I thought there was a couple starts they would get him from Burns. I thought when he's good, though, he is really good. Really throws hard, keeps it simple. I think that's what I like about him. He's not the pitcher I think Burns is, as far as mixing pitches and all that other stuff, but he doesn't need to do that. Throw it hard. I think can he stay healthy enough as well? Number 1, Corbin Burns. I think this was obvious. This was the best pitcher they've had since the Moose, Mike Mussina. I think August, I think, was down a bit. That was it. Everything else was lights out. Quality start, outstanding all season long. No injuries. Definitely number 1 free agent pitcher in all of baseball. He was outstanding, period. We know. Who was most valuable Oriole? I got a tie. I'm gonna put Adley only because he's an everyday player, a little bit over Burns, just slightly. I have a harder time putting a pitcher as most valuable Oriole, but it's a little bit of it was really close putting him. I thought Adley, was better than what people gave him credit for this year. At the end, he struggled. There's no question about it. I think that's why he wasn't higher. But I had him like third. I had a tie. I know that's going to surprise some people, but I did have Santander and Anthony Santander and Gunnar Henderson. I thought Gunnar Henderson, I think, is the obvious one. I think he had a tremendous step up. He had a good rookie year. He was even better this year. I definitely think next season he's an AL MVP candidate. I thought he was fantastic. And I'm not discounting Anthony Santander. He had almost, the home run total, I think he could have had 60 home runs this year. He's hot and cold. It was more hot than cold this year. I thought Santander was fantastic all season long. I think his defense was good as well. I think his defense is somewhat underrated. Definitely a free agent as well. But I don't know if he ever plays again for us, but I thought he was great. Anthony Santander and Gunnar Henderson, Ravery Sports, most valuable Oriole. There you go. All right. So want to thank you very much for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports podcast. Definitely stay locked in. to our Ravery Sports YouTube channel. So we're going to get finally our Maryland basketball preview here shortly for you. Thank you very much for joining us this week. We will see you Sunday for instant reaction. You enjoy the rest of your day.